For 11 years, the staff of the 4077th Mobile Army Surgical Hospital captivated TV viewers with a multifaceted view of the Korean War. In this video, you will see how have the actors of the movie MASH changed. You will know their real names and age. I will show you how they looked then, in 1970, and what's with them now, in 2025. Okay, let's go. Loretta Swit as Margaret, Hot Lips, Houlihan. The only other actor from MASH who was in both the first and the final chapter of this iconic series was Loretta Swit. She was so dynamic that showrunners tweaked the character to fit her wishes. Loretta naturally wanted Margaret, Hot Lips, Houlihan's character to grow during the course of the show. Away from someone promiscuous and shrill, to a tough independent role model type, and by the end of the series, they had even stopped referring to her as Hot Lips. Born November 4, 1937 in Passaic, New Jersey, she made her off-Broadway debut in An Enemy of the People in 1961. A production of the Actors Playhouse, which was followed by The Circle in the Square production of The Balcony. She would return to the stage repeatedly, most recently in 2017's 6 Dance Lessons in 6 Weeks. Television began calling in 1969 and between then and 1972. She appeared in 4 episodes of Hawaii Five-0, as well as Mission Impossible, Mannix, Gunsmoke, and The Bold Ones, The New Doctors. Her movie debut was in 1972's Stand Up and Be Counted. She continued to work in TV movies and guest spots on shows through the 80s and much of the 90s. Though she never did strike gold again. Swit, 86, seemed to have stopped acting in 1998 with a final role in Beach Movie. But 2 decades later, in 2019, she dusted off her acting chops and played Mrs. Kincaid in Play the Flute, an almost entirely unknown Christian music-based movie. Loretta Swit after her death in May 2025. William Christopher as Father Francis Mulcahy. Born October 20, 1932. When auditioning for his MASH role, William essentially ignored the prepared script and instead ad-libbed a rambling speech in his iconic priestly tone. The producers liked his performance and demeanor well enough to offer him the role. During his time on MASH, he was often unable to appear in episodes due to his responsibilities as a father raising an autistic son. At one point producers were preparing to cancel his contract until Alan Alda, once again the glue to the show, stepped in and advocated that William continue because his family needed the income. He, like Jaime Farre, starred in After MASH, then voiced Angel Smurf for the Smurfs' 1984 series. William definitely suffered from the stigma of typecasting, as he played a priest in 1994, a chaplain in 1998, and, finally, his last work before his death. William passed away in 2016 at age 84 from carcinoma. The father of 2, he was married to Barbara O'Connor since 1957. Harry Morgan as Colonel Sherman T. Potter. Born April 10, 1915. Before MASH, Harry Morgan was already a prolific actor whose television work included starring roles in the sitcoms December Bride, 1954-1959, and Pete and Gladys, 1960-1962. Given his background, it's no secret why his guest appearance as General Steele was so successful, that when Mlan Stevenson left the show, producers decided to bring back Harry Morgan to fill the surrogate parent role as Potter. Remaining in the cast until the show's conclusion. After the farewell, he joined Farre and Christopher in After MASH, then co-starred with Hal Linden, who was fresh off the success of Barney Miller, as they looked for a bit of hocus pocus in their show. Black's Magic. Harry was terrific in the comedic 1987 movie version of Dragnet, one of about 100 films he appeared in throughout his career. Morgan died peacefully in his sleep at an impressive 96 years old in 2011. Gary Berghoff as Corporal Radar O'Reilly. Born May 24, 1943. The humorous Corporal Radar O'Reilly was played by Gary Berghoff in both the original 1970 film version and subsequent television series. He was the only lead actor to do both, the producers taking note of his performance and casting him before anyone else. He once worked for the Animal Rehabilitation Clinic in Southern California. Gary left MASH after contract disputes and never again reached the heights that Radar provided. But he did move on, and then again after reprising the role of Radar in After MASH. He visited and fished in every state and is an inventor who holds several patents for fishing tackle, including Chum Magic, a floating device that can be filled with chum to attract fish. His last acting credit was in 2010 for the movie Daniel's Lot. Now 82, he's been married twice and has 3 children. Mike Farrell as Captain B.J. Honeycutt. Born February 6, 1939. Mike Farrell is best friends with Alan Alda and no stranger to Hollywood stars. Having attended West Hollywood Grammar School with the likes of Natalie Wood and Ricky Nelson. Farrell, who came in after Wayne Rogers as Trapper John left the show, was one heck of a Captain Honeycutt, and such a great counterpart to Alan Alda. He's probably best known for playing a veterinarian, that is in the 1999 to 2002 NBC drama Providence. He's also worked as a writer, director and producer, and was the vice president of the Screen Actors Guild. Farrell has been an advocate for various causes, including global human rights and animal rights. As of today, he's become a figure in politics, most notably his stance against the Iraq War and the death penalty in California. As an actor, his many credits include 2019 appearances in NCIS. The father of 2, he has been married twice. He's now 86 years old. Kelly Nakahara as Lieutenant Kelly Yamato. Born January 16, 1948. While maybe not being as prominent as other cast members, Nurse Kelly was featured in 167 episodes, always rolling with the punches. Light-hearted and serious, the part Hawaiian and part Chinese lieutenant always held her own on screen. Actress Kelly Nakahara, who brought the nurse to life on all of those episodes, most notably went on to play the cook in the movie Clue, and she made an appearance in a Sabrina the Teenage Witch episode. She stopped acting in 2000 and became a noted watercolor artist using her married name. Kelly Wallet. Kelly died of cancer in February 2020 at the age of 73. Larry Leanville as Major Frank Burns. Born September 29, 1939. Leanville played the overly confident surgeon Major Franklin Burns for 5 seasons. Feeling stifled in the role, he departed mid-series and went on to work in TV consistently over the next few decades with roles on Murder, She Wrote, Grandpa Goes to Washington and The Jeffersons, among others. On the big screen, he took part in the way offbeat comedies Earth Girls Are Easy, 1988, and Rock and Roll High School Forever, 1991. A father of 1, Larry was married 5 times. In 2000, Leanville died at age 60 after complications from lung cancer surgery led to pneumonia. David Ogden Stiers as Major Charles Winchester. Born October 31, 1942. Major Winchester, with his discerning Boston accent being from Illinois, was the only cast member to use an accent. David Ogden Stiers, who played him, was very active after MASH. He starred in the popular CBS miniseries North and South, and its sequel, North and South, Book 2. Most memorably, he narrated and played Cogsworth the Clock in the 1991 Disney smash Beauty and the Beast. In 2015, he returned to TV as Arthur Isles on Rizzoli and Isles and Mr. Maillard on Regular Show. Stiers died on March 3, 2018, from complications related to bladder cancer. He was 75. Wayne Rogers as Trapper John McIntyre. The connection between Hawkeye and BJ was pretty unbreakable, and the other person that he had that sort of connection with, though not as deep, was with Trapper John, as played by Wayne Rogers in the show's first 3 seasons. Wayne was born on April 7, 1933, in Birmingham, Alabama. Before becoming an actor, he served in the United States Navy. In 1959, he played the character of Slim Davis on the daytime soap Search for Tomorrow, and the following year appeared in the film Odds Against Tomorrow. From 1960 to 1961, he co-starred on the Western series Stagecoach West. Small roles in other shows and films filled out the 60s and early 70s. During his time on MASH, he began exploring the real estate and stock markets, and eventually appeared as a panel member on the Fox Business Network. In 2006, he found himself elected to the board of directors of Vishay Intertechnology, Inc. and was ultimately behind the stock trading investing corporation, Wayne Rogers and Company. Wayne was married twice and has 2 children. He died at age 82 from complications of pneumonia on December 31, 2015. Mlan Stevenson as Lieutenant Colonel Henry Blake. Henry Blake was a physician called up to active duty, taken from his private practice in Illinois, and brought in to command the 4077th. Far from by the book. In many ways, he is pretty laid back. When the actor who plays him, Mlan Stevenson, wanted out of the show following season 3, The writers killed him off in an attack while he was flying back home. Born November 14, 1927, in Normal, Illinois, McLean served in the Navy from 1946 to 1947. Afterwards, he attended Northwestern University, graduating with a bachelor's degree in theater arts. His first gigs were working at a radio station and playing a clown on a live TV show in Dallas. Eventually, he got his start in theater, being cast in various summer stock productions, making his way to Broadway. He also began writing for television variety shows and occasionally appearing in skits. Then he was cast as Henry Blake on MASH, but, as was the case with Wayne Rogers, he grew tired of being a supporting player and departed. On February 15, 1996, while recovering from bladder cancer surgery, he died of a sudden heart attack at the age of 68. He was married 3 times. Alan Alda as Dr. Benjamin Franklin, Hawkeye, Pierce. Born January 28, 1936. Alan Alda was undoubtedly the spine of MASH, not only by being the lead actor, but proving it by the fact that no matter how many cast members changed around him, the show went on, but being the lead was just part of the equation, as he often wrote and directed episodes for the acclaimed series. This includes the movie-length finale that shattered the record books with 121 million viewers. He wrote and directed 3 movies after honing his craft on that Army surgical base in Korea. 2 years later he shot A New Life, in which he co-starred with Hal Linden and Anne Margaret. Then, in 1990, he directed Betsy's Wedding, co-starring alongside Joey Bishop and Madeline Kahn. Alan, who was born Alfonso Joseph D'Abruzzo on January 28, 1936 in the Bronx, New York, he does not currently have any projects in the works as he's battling Parkinson's disease. Alan, now 89, proved to be a workhorse on MASH and continued with that mindset for his entire career. Jaime Farre as Sergeant Maxwell Q. Klinger. Born July 1, 1934. It's interesting to note that Jaime Farre and Alan Alda were the only 2 main cast members to have actually served in the U.S. Army in South Korea, and that both of them did their tours of duty after the 1953 ceasefire. Farre was drafted and began his time completing training films for the Army before going overseas to Japan and being part of Armed Forces Radio. But things changed dramatically thanks to a good friend back home by the name of Red Skelton. It seems that Red's 12-year-old son had just died of leukemia and he just needed to get away while also wanting to fulfill a deeper mission. He decided to request Farre's support from the State Department in his own efforts to entertain the troops. So basically Red plucked Jaime from being a private and raised him up. They began performing and touring throughout South Korea. Even after the war, Red continued to lift up Jaime. After his father passed away, he was in limbo. Worries about home were pushing him to abandon his current path of comedy and entertainment. Luckily, Red didn't see that as an option, claiming Farre was a doctor of comedy, and personally employed him in a way that supported his family back home. After MASH ended, Jaime Farre quickly jumped onto the big screen, with a role in the star-studded Cannonball Run 2 as the Sheik. He also was one of the main 3 characters who carried on their military duties to after MASH. The spin-off that followed Klinger, Colonel Potter, and Father Mulcahy to a veterans hospital. Most recently in 2018, you could see Jaime along with a whole slew of other stars from the past in The Cool Kids, a retirement center comedy starring David Alan Grier and Vicki Lawrence, married to Joy Ann Richards since 1963, and the father of 2. Jaime is currently 91 years old.